just a disclaimer before we get into this video. I need you to pay attention to this one and pay attention to it good. This is the beginning of the video, don't get it confused, but I just took these two guide rings out and installed the ones that you clicked on this video to see me install, and this is by far the best upgrade that I've ever installed. It solved the single worst problem I've had over the last 3 years with my Silverback Tac41. The fact that it sounded like every time I pulled the bolt back, even if I held it correctly with one thumb in the back, lubricated it, cleaned it, filed it, nothing changed it. It always sounded like a tin can dragging on a wall of concrete. You're going to want to get these. But back to the video. So the next upgrade that I have for today's upgrade series is, again, not one that I purchased myself. This was a sponsored item from Skirm Shop and Stalker. The red Tac41 guide rings. And as always, they've given me free range to test and talk about these parts as I please. But I do appreciate them sending these out to me, and if you choose to purchase any of these products on your own, you can get 5% off by clicking the link below for either the Netherlands or the US location and using my code STUPIDAIRSOFT. That'll give you 5% off your entire order, and again, clicking that link helps me too, so the combo of the two, we both benefit from it, which is awesome. Now, what are these guide rings, where do they go, and what's the point before we install them? These guys ride on the inside of where the cylinder rides, and the whole goal essentially is just to tighten down the space between the cylinder and the inside of the receiver's walls. There is a small possibility that installing these does make the bolt pull a little bit quieter, but what we're mainly going for, again, is easier loading of the nozzle from the cylinder into the hop unit, which will decrease the likelihood that we cause any damage to the hop unit, and less likelihood of the cylinder scraping the inside walls of the receiver. So retaining a longer, healthier cylinder and inner receiver. The install for these is relatively easy. There's a few excess steps that we're going to have to do, but these are a nice solid plastic. They have a nice shiny finish too, which I imagine will help increase the smoothness of it, and there's no burring on the outside either, so cool. Now for the general breakdown, we do have to remove the barrel as well as the bolt. So we're just going to go ahead and pop out the parts that are all on the back of the Tac41. And again, if you have any questions about this installation or any products that I've installed in the past couple of days, go ahead, click this link, or in the description, I have a Discord channel that is Airsoft Snipers only, and it covers a bunch of different platforms for any snipers that you can think of, and I'm constantly adding more in, but it's a place where a bunch of professionals and myself are all talking about the same interest and gathering together to solve some of the major problems that are with airsoft sniping as a whole. So we're just going to take this screw out, this guy out, this Allen key, screw it into the bottom of the receiver in the only spot that it can screw into, like that. And then we'll just, as soon as it gets tight, twist it an extra half of a turn and pull that pin right out. Now with the controlled pull of your bolt and your trigger at the same time, your whole bolt should slide out. And you'll see that I have this loaded up with the Stalker nozzle, the Stalker piston, and the spring guide. Now we're going to take the mag on out. Obviously you want to make sure there's no BBs inside the chamber. Now I'm going to take just this healthy side of the Allen key and begin unscrewing these guys just a tad bit in a row to release our entire barrel assembly. Cool, and that might be enough. If the barrel twists, we're going to pull it out a little bit more. You don't want to untighten these too much. If you untighten them too much, you'll start to warp your receiver, so be super careful. And the whole barrel assembly pops out. You'll see I have my Stalker hop unit installed, and the Morpheus inner barrels on the inside of here as well. If you want to see me install that, I have videos. It should be linked to this playlist too. Now, what we're going to do is attack these screws 2 and 3 to take the receiver off. Figuring out what Allen key size you need. That one's a little bit too small. We'll go into our set of keys and go with a next size up. That seems to be the right one. And just unscrew the 3. And all these 3 do is they separate your upper and lower receiver. And this is essential because we have to get to the small little nub that the guide rings connect into to remove the guide rings that are already on the inside. Cool. And now your whole receiver should split apart from its lower. And we're just going to put this one aside. Now, if you look on the inside of your upper receiver, you see that ring right there, and then the other one right there. That's what we're going to replace with these guys. Now, flip this guy over and take a look at these these guide rings. That nub is just these nubs. So it's as simple as popping it out. Be careful not to scratch your receiver. And when you do this at the same time, use a finger to kind of move it out of alignment. Cool. I usually like to go through this part to get them out. And again, they're plastic, so be careful, but they shouldn't scratch up the inside of your receiver. And then we'll just attack the other one. Yeah, we are. And pull that guy out. Now, just as a quick comparison, you can see the Stalker one is just a little bit thicker. It hides behind the black. If you put the Silverback one in the front, you could see a little bit of red peeking out. That should reduce the wiggle room. And of course, if you're going to purchase the Stalker hop unit, you may as well get these cheap little upgrade pieces just to make sure that you don't destroy it. And we're just going to throw these guys on back in. Now, the way that these sit, you see where the nub is? That side's going to be facing down to the lower portion of the receiver. And we're just going to place it on in and wiggle it in place. Perfect. See that? Red ring is in there, totally seated in place. And we just got to do the same exact thing with the opposite side. Again, that pin part facing down. And this one, we're just going to move into the back side. So, because that hole is super close to the back, if you could see it. And it should find itself into the little cutouts that's made for it. Perfect. Okay, and the best way to make sure that these guys are in the right place is that those buttons are now red. And you can see the guide rings sitting in their tracks. And all we're going to do now is reverse engineer the entire thing. So we'll first take our lower back. Your Tac41 should just be a drop-in fit. Hold the two together, and we'll start dropping our screws back into place. So another thing I like about the Tac41, most of the hardware is super large, so you don't feel like it's dinky, you're going to lose it, or you're going to strip it and break it, but still be super careful. I'm just going to go down the line, tighten these guys up. Perfect. And just hand tighten them. You don't have to over tighten it, especially not these ones, because they sit on the inside of where your mag goes into. So the mag constantly keeps pressure on them. So they shouldn't have any problems with backing out. I've never had any issues, and I've never actually put any Loctite on these. I'm not sure if they come with Loctite from the factory or not. Cool. Awesome. Now we're just going to drop our barrel back in place. We'll slide that guy up in the front. Twist it a little bit until it drops into place, and then twist it away from us the full ways. And we'll go ahead and tighten her down one after another, just enough so it stays snug, but not enough so the receiver starts prying away from the lower. Seems about right. Next, we got to drop our bolt back in, pull the trigger. This is the part that we've been waiting for. The bolt is lubricated, so... Oh, wait a minute. That is much quieter. That's usually much louder. Wow, okay. Tell you, one of the biggest problems I've always had with this guy, if you remember from my other videos, is every time that I would fire or rack the bolt back, it was super loud. And it sounded like this, I guess, how do I put it? Like a and it was this awful noise, and everyone around me could hear it. The piston locks back on the sear, which it does. Should have free range of motion and no spring tension now. Rack charging handle, 264, 261, 261. And that was the only problem that I ever had with the Tac41, especially when I ran it stock for all these years. So hopefully this solves that issue. We'll see if it's a lot quieter or not. Throw both the tools back in place. Throw our rubber back on. Wrap it up before you tap it up. Throw this guy in place. The screw in the back. And this guy up on the side. Perfect. Now let's rack the charging handle and see how smooth it is. That pull is so smooth. So smooth. There's no longer any grinding. It used to have this like nasty dragging noise, but I guess that solved that problem. Just listen for a second. Thumb in the back, pull the correct way. Check this out. There's no more of that grinding. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know if that was gonna make much of a difference, but that makes a huge difference. My God, I don't know how to explain it. It sounded like nails dragging across the inside of a can, or like you took a can and dragged the can, like a cut piece of the can, across the can. It now sounds so much smoother. Oh, Stalker. Thank you. That's a nice upgrade. Yeah, that's one of those cost-effective upgrades that most people don't even talk about, but in reality, it's unbelievably worth it. That was... You wouldn't even notice it was inside. It's one of those, like, sleeper upgrades, but that was... I'm not being paid to say this. I was giving them for free, but I'm not being paid to say this. Single-handedly one of the nicest, smoothest upgrades that I've ever put in, and it makes a whole world of a difference.